All set. Good morning, guys. Good noon, guys, and good evening, guys. People around the world. Um, Today's my session is on JWT authentication with Django, and this is something about me, who I am. My name is Viral Parmar. I'm founder and CEO of Parmar Cybersecurity. It's a company based out of India, but I usually work in USA. Most time I spend my time in USA, and I also work with Mozilla. Mozilla is a global non-profit organization whose agenda is to provide people privacy and security. And our latest and well-known browser product, as you know, is in Firefox browser. And I do lots of stuff in Mozilla and work in lots of projects like Mozilla Open Leadership, where we help people who want to start their own open leadership projects. So we help them and mentor them or to run their own open source projects. Other than that, I gave more than 150 talks all over the world till now and counting more and more every year. So our today's agenda is about common vulnerabilities, authentication and authorization, serverless, JWT, and Django, and how we can authenticate Django with JWT. So these are the common web security vulnerabilities we used to see in most of the website, or whichever the website we use or we create actually as a developer site. So sensitive data exposure, broken authentication, security misconfiguration, and injection vulnerabilities. You've seen these are the actually very common vulnerabilities you can find in any website, whichever the website small to small or large to large companies who are having website have these common vulnerabilities. So how to overcome such vulnerabilities, how to overcome such security vulnerabilities, so we can use authentication, authorization, security, and personalization. Now, people like to know how we can do authenticate, how we can authorize the people, right? So in traditional systems which we are using till now, you've seen that username and password in every website. There is username and password, normal username and password we ask from the user to log in into their accounts or to log in into our websites. So these are the traditional things that we are using from the decades, actually, not even more than decades. So how we can overcome such things, because you can see that these are the old techniques, and people or hackers can actually hack into such systems and website by bypassing username and password. So how we can actually help them, how we can actually help developers to secure their website or our own website, how we can do that. So we can use such techniques or such methods we can apply on our web application or any application to secure our software or application. So we can use social logins, as you've seen. These days we can actually access any website using Facebook, Twitter, Google, or GitHub, or any other social media accounts or social media logins. We can use enterprise federations like single sign-on, and also companies are using single sign-on these days in enterprise systems and enterprise federations. Also, these days you can see, or you used to see, such companies or such web applications are actually providing passwordless authentication for the users. Maybe you've seen on Facebook where you have to access or you have to log in your account. You have to just click on the button, and you can from the website, and it gives an push up or pop up in your phone, a push up notification in your phone and pop up in your phone to access your account in your website or in that website in other devices like laptop or computer. So these are the latest process or things that are using in authentication. So in traditional username, these are the most common, easy to implement, but least secure. But if we talk about social logins, which are common but not like not easy to implement, or not easy to hack, right? So it is medium difficulty but more secure than the traditional things. Now about single sign-on, which is very not common in enterprise. It is mostly used in or common in enterprise system, not for everyone, which is obviously difficult to implement for the whole hierarchy system or for the whole company. It also solves authorization in use cases. But about passwordless, which is very rare these days and upcoming in market, with people, lots of companies are using passwordless system these days, and which is easy to implement, very easy to implement, and very much secure than other applications or functions or methods that we are using previously. Now, what is authorization? So authorization ensures the user have the right access at the right time. We can grant, change, or revoke the access for the users. So in layman language, we can say authorization is what you can do, and authentication is who you are. Now, if we talk about the latest trends and technologies, we are using serverless this is. So let's talk about serverless authentication. So in serverless authentication, I give an example with an authentication provider of Auth0 here. Here, if user is want to access any website, suppose here Parmar.com is trying to access that website, then web page is sending an login page of Auth0.js, which is made by the developer. So he will the web server or website will be sharing the details or the giving the link to the user that you have to log in here. When user puts an inputs in that page, web page, it will all goes to that request, goes to the authentication provider or here which is Auth0. It will be reverted to Auth0, and they will validate the username and password which is inserted by user, and after checking and after verifying the accurate username, it is accurate username password or not. If it is, then they will give back to the request or response to the user via website, and it will give an access to that user in that particular website or web application or any software. So similarly to authentication, authorization here. So it will similarly here. It will create and request, send it to the user. User will send the details, insert the details, username and password to the in the web page, and it will go to the authentication provider. Authentication provider check the details, and it will verify with the user with the database, and it will then only it will give an authorization or access to the user what kind of application level or what kind of files each user can access. So this is how serverless authentication and authorization happens. Now you'll be thinking that what is serverless, right? So if we talk about serverless, so we seen the systems before serverless actually physical machine, virtual machines, containers, and past. Now these days people are using serverless. So serverless is a function as a service, but what it is exactly. So in traditional system architectures, people were charging, actually companies are charging us lots of money for the server keeping up and using that the space we were using, and we have to keep on servers on every time. We have to keep the server up. We can't down the server, or we cannot do anything else while the single thing which is we are working on right now. So also we are responsible for uptime and maintenance. We have to maintain the server and all the other resources. So it's our own responsibility, right? So while other than that, responsible for applying the appropriate security update is also our concern, where we have to only take care of that such things. The provider is not providing or any services or help to us while managing the servers. And also we have to manage the scaling. Scaling is a huge risk or huge issue while our server is up, and we have to maintain everything, and we have to check and work while during the server is up. So this was a traditional architecture. This was a traditional thing that we were using. But in serverless, so let me go through the definition initially first. So serverless is an execution model where the cloud provider is responsible for executing a piece of code by dynamically allocating the resources. The code is typically run inside stateless container that can be triggered by the variety of events, including HTTP requests, database events, queuing services, monitoring alerts, file uploads, scheduled events like cron jobs, etc. The code that is sent to cloud provider for execution is usually in the form of function. Hence, serverless is sometimes referred as a function as a service. Now, you'll be thinking that I didn't understand or what the person is saying, right? So let me break it down for you very easily, which is very easy to understand. So serverless is an execution model which execute your code, which the code is executed by the cloud provider by allocating the resource dynamically. Code runs inside the stateless containers, triggered by the events. You can trigger the events. You can create the code and it's as in function and send it to the and upload in the execution model. It will execute it in a stateless container. Code sent to the cloud provider are in the form of functions. That's why actually it is called as a function as a service. Serverless is also called as a function as a service. So, which actually concludes that focus on code, not the servers. So you will be thinking that serverless means it doesn't have a servers. Like, we don't have to worry about servers because we don't have a servers. No, it's not like that. So similar to wireless, it doesn't mean we don't have wires. Yeah, obviously we don't have wires, but there should be some wire which is connected to the devices, which help us to create the wireless thing, right? Similarly, since serverless doesn't mean that we don't have a servers, but we have server. But as a developer, you don't have to worry about the servers. So just focus on the code. Now, if we talk about serverless core concept, it actually focuses on only three things. One is functions, second is events, and services. See, it's a huge topic to cover, and I don't have enough time to cover a whole serverless thing. But you have to just keep in mind of these things as of now. Now, you'll be saying that why we should use serverless. So what are the benefit or what we can do with that? So you can create or build your own APIs very easily. You can do custom automation very easily, data processing, and lots of other things. So you'll be also asking that we can do work on serverless, but what and how we can do that? So there are lots of cloud providers, server cloud providers. One is well known, that is Google Cloud Platform, Azure, IBM, OpenWeb, WebTask, Amazon Web Service, and Kubernetes. These are the serverless cloud providers. So you can use that such things. Now let me give an example here. So I'll be taking an example of Auth0 on webtask.io. So webtask.io is an serverless cloud provider. So here, as an example, I took an demo of webtask.io. I'll showing you the live demo afterwards. Let's see in the presentation here first. So what we can do is we can create any function. We can take any empty function, and we can take an empty function and we can code for ourselves. Like I did and take an snapshot here. As here you can see, hello is a query, and the output will be the PyIndy web conf. So it will be my output for this whole function. So output will be shown as like this, PyIndy web conf. So all you need is run code with an HTTP call, no provisioning and no deployment. Let's talk about JSON Web Token, which is in focus here today. And I'll be using JSON Web Tokens with serverless and authenticating Django with that. So if we talk about JWT is JSON Web Tokens. So if people will be asking and thinking, what is JSON Web Tokens? So it is actually based on web standard RFC 7519, which is mostly and commonly used for securing the data and functions or objects, JSON objects, while sending the data from website to web server. JSON objects we have to secure, and which are these days which are very common to use in web applications. So it will be encoded form, so that's why it is more secure. Also, it allows shared parties to verify information which is legit. It is secret-based verification also is there in between, while sharing the data. When secret changes, the information is no more legit. So you have to know, and you can actually check and verify while before deployment and or before using the JSON web. It consists of header, payloads, and signatures, and it is self-contained, so you don't have to worry about security of the JWT. So this is how JSON Web Tokens actually look like. So if we talk about the JWT, so JWT consists of three things, as we see: header, payload, and secret key. So header consists of two things. The header is JSON object, usually consists of two types. There are two types, which is JWT and algorithm, which is used for encryption JWT. So first is algorithm, which is HS256, which is a common or general algorithm, security or encoding algorithm we use in JWT, and type is JWT, which is normal and general. Payload. So payload consists of two different attributes. One is public claimed, one is reserved claimed. So in public claims, people can change or create their own attributes and use it. Like here it is user as an MD Shahbaz Alam, SBC Alam is an user, and issuer. So who is an issuer here? The standard issuer when I'm using any API, or I just use the standard API I inserted here and put it here. So issuer, whichever the API or whichever the functions we are calling. Now signature. So signature consists of header and payload, which is be encoded, and also the secret key, which actually encrypt the whole thing. So this is the main important part where signature is inserted and the whole thing is encoded and then it's shared. So which encompasses several tasks like proves the identity of the sender and ensure the message has not changed. These are the very important part of my JWT, and this is why actually people use JWT. So in the end, it looks like this: encoded header dot encoded payload dot signature. Uh, so in here, the dark pink is an actually header, and the light pink is an payload, and blue code is our signature. JWT. What are the advantages of JWT? So it is compact compared to XML, easy to sign compared to XML, and easy to pass as compared to XML. So what is its authentication flow? This is an actually normal token based authentication where user browser actually send request to the server asks for the token. When it user API generate a token and send it to the server validate the token, and it will given access to the browser or to the user. But if we talk about JWT, this is how it works. Here, user is now trying to access a website. So the request is generated and it is sent to the authentication server first. Then the authentication server provide an the user and create a JWT token and return to the user, and that user passes JWT token or make API calls to the application server. It goes to application server, and application verifies the process API call and send it to again to the user. So if you want to know more about JWT, you can go to jwt.io and do the demos. There are lots of demos and community there. You can ask questions, resolve your problems and everything in JWT. So this is an example. I have one or two example here to show you that or how or where actually JWT authentication you can use. Like we can use in authenticate your WordPress APIs using JWT tokens. Also in Salesforce. I think I removed the slide. Yeah, you can do it in Salesforce, and there is a demo here. It's shown in debugger. It's an I don't have anything installed in my system, but I'm sure I will showing you everything on web application website directly. So here's an example of that only. It's a debugger here. The signature is changed. That's why it actually shows an invalid signature. But here we change the secret, change the secret file. So here it shows signatures verified and the content is appropriate and appropriately shared. Oh, here is Salesforce. Okay, so let's talk about Python. If we talk about Python, there are lots of Python frameworks. But before that, I want to give you a little bit intro about or summary of why we use Python and why people use actually Python. So Python is the fastest growing programming language, and which have a huge community base improving in every aspect of the language. And more open source libraries are being released to address AI, ML, and web development, which is AI and ML, which is an new era, which is actually bringing new era for our IT world, and people are working a lot in these days on AI and ML, and that's why most of the people actually use Python for that. And so other than that, there are lots of early adopters and new adopters who can want to know more about. You can go to the Python website, docs.python.org. There are lots of full stack frameworks: Django, Pyramid, TurboGears, and WebPy. Also, there are lots of micro frameworks: Web, Flask, Portal, and CherryPy. So let's talk about these are the famous frameworks people use, and why they use and what they are working on. So let's take in Flask versus Django. So Django is an older and more mature and little bit more popular amongst the Python developers. Flask is although less popular but not far behind. People are also using Flask these days. On GitHub, we can see and check that this framework has around 37k stars and 1.6k K contributors and 200 more than 200 releases and more than 16K forks. On GitHub, Flask has almost 39K stars and 480 contributors, 26 releases, and more than 11K forks. So it is, you can see it's not far behind. So it will be catching up with the Django. On Stack Overflow, roughly 1.2% of questions asked in a given month related to Django over all the programming languages. So similarly, 0.2% of questions asked on given month are related to Flask. If we talk about Django, I like Django more. Uh, so let's see how and what we can do with Django and JWT and authenticate the thing. I won't be. I actually, this is not my laptop, so I don't have any setup here on this laptop, so can't show you the live demo because of this. This is not my laptop. I not installed Django or even Python here in the system. But I'll give you an whole scenario of that, or how we can do that and what we can do that with on with your system. You can do that. So first of all, you have to install the dependencies. All the dependencies like Django, Django REST framework, Django REST framework hyphen JWT, cryptography, and PyJWT and Python dot environment for your system if you want to work in different scenario or systems or platforms. So starting with that, you can people install Django to install Django framework if you only have in Python, or you are using just Python. So install Django first, then Django REST framework, then Django REST framework underscore simple JWT to create an JWT application. Now start this project by Django hyphen that main and start project API example, like you are creating an API. Suppose if you are creating an API, then you can go to API example, then start and manage and start the project there. So you can do that. And for if you don't have a JWT install in Python, so first of all install JWT by pipe install JWT and import the files, and then you can start the coding that as you seen the basic syntax of JWT as I shown you. So you can start with that. So decoding with JWT in Python, you can do this in such a way that this is the example of that. If you want any more resources on JWT and other details on JWT tokens, how it works, and Python or anything, you can just let me know and ping me. I'll share you the details. This is my contact details. And let's see in demo. So as I was talking about webtask.io. So what I did is I took an empty, I created an empty function in that. I inserted created a function here, and what type of query you want to put, you can put here, and what output you want, you can insert your output, or as an content you can put here, and you have to just save it. And like suppose hello world. So let's save it.
Your screen there.
Oh, sorry. Can you see my screen now?
It's still just the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry then. Give me a sec. Okay, now you can see the screen?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So see, you can see the output here. So you can do lots of more thing actually using this webtask.io. Also with JWT.io, you can see there are lots of things here available. We have like communities also here, and if you want any other dependency or check for the other programming language, you can check here. Libraries here. There are lots of other things on JWT here, so you can use that for, like, as we are working on Python, you can take or check everything what available here on this website for Python. So you can use that such thing for your Django based or Flask based application, and help use it for your authentication of your Django or Flask based application, or any Python based actually application. Fine. So because of I don't have a demo as of now for uh, live demo for the Python. Actually, I can't show you because I don't have an installation here in this laptop. So I'd like to wrap it up for today's session. And if you want a live demo, or if you want a video for that, actually, I will share the details with you guys or with the IndyPy team, and I'll be sharing my presentation and every other things or documents or whatever the question you have. Even you can just put your question in Slack. I'll be giving an answer to that. All your answers to your questions on Slack, and also sharing the links that I created or I worked on with you guys for better explanation or better understanding for you how to implement or how to integrate JWT authentication and serverless with Django or Python. Fine. So I'd like to conclude my session here. Thank you guys. If you have any question, please put your question in Slack.